the next one we've got is a sweep net, and these are, so this is a sweep net. This is one of the things that is quite commonly used for assessing insects in crops and also in grasslands, because they're relatively cheap, they're also easy to use, and you can do lots of replicas with them. So when you're using a sweep net, there's a few technical parts to it. Firstly, you have to make sure the seam is on the outside of the net, so that if the insects do get caught in there, they don't get caught up in the seam. The other thing to make sure is that when you do collect, you actually twist the frame to close it. You generally don't put your hand around it, because if there are wasps in there or bees, you get stung. The other thing you don't do is actually take a few sweeps and look inside it, because again, if you do that, angry wasps generally come flying straight out at you. So you've got to be careful about how you use these, even though they seem fairly simple. So what you normally do is take about 6 sweeps, and then you look inside. So if I just go over here and take a few sweeps. And then close it up like this, and then we can take it back over to the tray, and then we can also, once we do this, you would have actually been filling out the data sheet to actually see what you collected. So you can just you can just put this in. You can see in here there's looks like a lady beetle. You've also got lots of little flies in here. So the key thing would be you got a predator in here, which is great. And we don't have can't see any other little, it looks like a little sort of plant hopper there, so that's a little sapsucker. But definitely there's a few other little, looks like another little sapsucker there as well. So you've got a few insects flying around from this sweep, so that's really good. So you identified, again, from this type of sweep, you've got a few sapsuckers, so a few herbivores, and also a few predators as well. So that's actually quite good. So you don't have hundreds of actual sapsuckers or leaf chewers, which would be problematic for a particular crop. Okay, next one is a quadrat. So this is just here. So this is actually a good way, so it's just basically a quadrat of a size. You just put this over a crop, and instead of actually measuring the number of insects in this, you can actually measure the percentage leaf damage. So you can go into your crop, look at your different plants in here, and actually identify broadly in the crop, is there good coverage of foliage, of vegetation, or has it been really damaged? So for example here, you can see most of the foliage is actually in pretty good shape. Got a few leaves here which are, where there's been a bit of leaf chewing, but not, certainly not taking it right back to the soil surface. So you'd say that there's, at least 97, 98% foliage there. So that's actually, it's a healthy looking sort of area of vegetation. Okay, next one are the yellow pan traps. So here's an example. This is just an example of a yellow pan trap. It's just an ice cream bucket. And what you do with these is just put them onto the ground, and also just fill them with a little bit of water and add a little bit of detergent to them. So the detergent breaks the water surface, and it allows the insects to actually, so rather than floating, they go down into the water itself. If you're using these, you only leave them out for a few hours. So they're only out, so ideally when a lot of the pollinators are flying, probably between 10 AM and 2 PM is when they're best to be out. And they're also just in water, so you don't leave them out for any longer than a few hours, because if you leave them out overnight, then the insects are most likely to start to degrade, and also other insects might come and feed on them. So they're only out for a limited amount of time. The other collection method we have over here is the pitfall trap. So this is the pitfall trap here. So what we've got here is, so this is a little, just a plastic plate over the top to protect it if there's any rain. And so if we had them on today, there is a bit of rain around. So if we left these out overnight or for a few days, that would stop a lot of that rain getting into the trap. The trap itself is here, and what we have done is basically we've got a little vial, and this has got ethanol in it, and before we put it into the ground we just open the lid carefully, then place it in the hole, and then move the soil back so we backfill it so it's near the lid. Then when we're ready to go, we just lift that lid off, and that's it. So that's a pitfall trap. And then we can put so it's got the liquid in there, then we can put the lid over and leave it out for a few days or up to a week or more. Now this has ethanol in it, but it goes as a preservative, but if you're leaving it out for a few days, you can also fill these with a solution of salt and also detergent. So if you have a 20% salt solution, that can actually work as a preservative for up to 7 days. And again, the detergent helps break the water tension on top. So it's a good way of collecting, and then after a few days, if you're doing any surveys and you're keeping the insects, you can then take them back to the lab and put them into ethanol. Okay, so I might just stop there and then we'll walk over to the other